Well, I promised esteemed audience that I'd circle back, Seba, and ask about the types of projects that you're looking for, and I cheated. I looked ahead, and I wanted to also follow up on, I know that you've said that you're looking for something, what'd you say, that you're looking for a true range of perspectives that exist in this world and address urgent and often underexplored issues in both fiction and nonfiction, that you're looking for anything Roald Dahl-esque. So I'll let you take it from there, but what kind of unexplored issues in fiction and nonfiction are we looking for?
Okay, I have a spiel, which I memorized. So let me see if I remember it. And I have it open, but I'm not gonna look at it. So because I get this question a lot, and I understandably obviously get it. So in terms of the stories that I want, the stories that I wish to champion are mostly just stories that showcase both the individual and the collective humanity of the characters featured and the communities that they belong to. I feel like ultimately, you know, everyone always just says every story's been told, it's just how you tell it. And I do believe that to a certain extent, but the flavor of these stories can be just so much more vibrant, just given certain differences that we don't even think about or we don't grapple with because we're so contained by our own individual experiences of our lives. And I think that's a product also of the fact that, you know, we live in a world that is more connected than it ever has been. And we feel this sense of almost laziness about what we know and how much we know and how informed we are, if that makes any sense. But the fact of the matter is just because we have access to the internet, we don't know everything. We just know we can know everything. And that can create this false kind of equivalence of knowledge and of being informed, but it's not actually there. And I think that's the kind of thing I like thinking about when I read a submission and I try to think about what is it I'm getting out of it. You know, I think that, you know, children's literature particularly, and we'll talk about middle grade because this is about middle grade. I think middle grade is honestly the ideal tool to bridge the gap that we have, which is that there's so much we don't know about each other, that we don't even know we don't know. And just to celebrate the incredible range of differences in our global population and to find fun, innovative, and ultimately heartwarming ways to connect us all through storytelling. Because I think that children in particular, and I'm sure, Kyle, you can speak to this as a librarian, they're so delightfully receptive to difference, you know, to characters who aren't anything like them, who don't look like them, who don't think like them, who aren't even from our planet, you know, UFOs, of course they exist, you know, like there's just this like this confidence they have about who they are, and if they don't know something, then they just say, oh yeah, I don't know this. And if you tell them something, they'll say, okay, that makes sense. You know, it's so refreshing. I think that, you know, they also tend to, and you know, you mentioned Roald Dahl-esque. You know, those are the stories I grew up on, you know, not into his politics, but I was very much enamored of his world and just his idiosyncratic way of thinking about communicating to children, which I really connected with when I was a kid. You know,
me
because
too. And now when I read them to my child, I just read around a couple of parts. It's fun.
Children, yeah, because I mean, I think, and I can speak to as an ex-child myself, they tend to embrace the absurd and the unexpected as a simple matter of fact, which I love. You know, I mean, I feel like I'm also an adult who does that, and I love adults to do that as well, but definitely more children do that than adults, which is why I think middle grade is such a great space for that, you know. And I really love how instructive it can be for older readers engaging with these stories along with our younger friends. You know, when I read to the children in my life, or I imagine reading some stories that I'm reading that maybe they're not ready for, I'm thinking, wow, you know, I can imagine how they'd react. And then I would have to find a way to kind of think about how they're reacting and respond to it, because it just, you know, it's just always humbling to realize that our preconceived notions about the world and about what it looks like, how it works, who is deserving of our attention is just very limiting, honestly. You know, it should be challenged. And I think kids do such a great job of that. And when we read middle grade, especially, perspectives are they're so honest and they're so earnest. And And often it's so, that childlike wonder, and often that grace and that humor and that generosity of spirit you see from their perspective that emanates, like that's the kind of purview I wish everybody in the world had, honestly. And so that's why, you know, those are the kinds of stories I want, the stories that sort of inspire those feelings and responses, you know. We honestly, and I always like to say this because I think it's so true, we read to understand ourselves by understanding others. And, you know, I feel like the wider range of stories that we give to the children in our lives, the richer our own lives become. So when I think about underexplored issues, I'm thinking about anything. I can't even point my finger at it because there are so many stories like Too Bright to See that I couldn't have even imagined coming up with until I saw it. And it made me so happy and excited that it existed and made me want to work with it so badly. You know, just a story that I'd never read before that makes me feel like this is a child I haven't met and that I want this child to be my friend. You know, like that's kind of what I mean, I guess.